Hi, this is Danny Doyle, and I'm joined by Casual Jacob here
Hi.
in my sick-fueled mind haze, a glimpse into my dark and twisted mind.
The darkness whispers.
The darkness is darker than yours. We are going to rate the Path of Radiance reverse recruitment characters. Only we are going to do it not based on how good they were, because let's be honest, not only is Path of Radiance incredibly easy, but reverse recruitment was incredibly easier. But we're rating them on the comedy scale. So I've intentionally waited a couple of weeks after we finished the playthrough because I felt like the funnier ones are going to stick in our minds for longer, which is why I included a tier called Can't Remember. We have peak comedy, pretty funny, boring. Can't Remember is under boring, because in my opinion that means you made even less of an impact than like being boring in your changes. And then I Hate You is for things that are the opposite of funny.
Makes sense.
So, I don't know about you, but I'm ready to just dive into it. I put the cast in backwards order, even though this isn't fully our order, because, like, Bjork and Lakuz were separate, but
It's close enough.
let's start with Gifka. This is right away one that I cannot remember. Can you remember anything about Gifka?
I don't I don't remember any funny skills or anything. He was just kind of I showed up as a first Laguz.
I think he's overshadowed by the fact that he joined alongside Nesala, who was Mr. Crashio Game.
Yeah.
You've heard of Mr. Steal Your Girl.
The game a few times.
You've heard of Mr. Steal Your Girl. Now there's Mr. Crashio Game. In many ways, Nesala is kind of the reason I made I Hate You, because we had to replay like 3 maps because it was fucking Maelstrom.
Yeah.
So that's
It was funny, but also like the GameCube would hiccup whenever it would go to start combats with him, and we're like, oh god, is it stopping?
Mhm.
Wait, do we have to replay this? And then it would suddenly load, and we're like, okay, we're good.
all the anticipation, none of the payoff. How do you feel about Mr. Flying Tiger himself, Tabarn?
I mean, I was going to point out that it said he was a tiger and he's a flying tiger, so I think that's really funny.
You think that's peak comedy or pretty funny? I was gonna say boring, because like, even though it made a thumbnail, I didn't really care about it.
That's fair. Somewhere between like boring and pretty funny for me, because it's like, hey, that's funny because he's like flying tiger, I guess.
I'll put him in pretty funny. You know, your influence has been felt. And then there's Enna. Enna is actually the reason we did not finish the run, if I recall correct. Oh wait, no, it's not Enna. It was Ulki. Damn,
Yeah,
Enna's getting accused of Ulki's crimes. What was Enna even? Oh right, she like walked on trees and stuff. That was pretty funny. The dragons replacing the hawks was pretty funny.
I don't remember anything they did, but
They existed in cutscenes and they were funny.
yeah, they were just kind of funny because like, oh wow, the dragons are they weren't even flying over the trees, they were just walking on the trees.
Yeah, it's like second best to like T-posing all the way over the trees. Elincia, I think I'm gonna say boring.
Yeah.
She was like, it was cool to have a flyer early on when you're not supposed to. So I could show off that like, oh, that village, right? That one house that gets destroyed, you can't even visit it. Like, damn, they didn't even plan for it. Like, Engage, bad game. Engage 10 out of 10,
Wow.
Path of Radiance 0 out of 10. But other than that, like, she was worse than Path of Radiance Ike, which is like impressive.
Just boring flying staffer that didn't really do anything.
Somebody ran the numbers, and based on her caps, it was actually impossible to win the Black Knight fight.
That is incredible.
Yeah, so that's not quite enough for I Hate You, but that is boring. Oh no, my formatting.exe.
Uh-oh.
Okay, we'll have to adjust that on the fly. Largo! If
Colossus.
Mr. Colossus is not peak comedy, nobody is. Like, this is not up for debate, right?
Crit Boost Colossus was so silly.
I have a chance to deal 3 extra damage to this enemy that I am 4 shy of killing. I feel like he constantly dealt, like, just shy damage. It was very funny.
And it's not like Colossus is going to actually improve your damage output.
Nope. How do you feel about, like, just better Oscar? I feel it kind of boring, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say boring. It's just, imagine Oscar, but he starts off even better and has higher growth rates for some reason.
I mean, I feel like the Oscar haters would still find a way to say he's, like, C tier.
True.
The Oscar hate has gone too far. The Lucia hate has not gone far enough, though. I kind of want to say I hate you. Just because
it's so sad.
So underwhelming, and also because I know she's one of your favorite characters, and there was nothing funny about her. So like that feels targeted.
She had no sauce compared to other sword masters and myrmidons that showed up later.
Well, and speaking of no sauce, like does Bastion hang out with her down there too?
I think so. He just also was kind of just worse than the unit we got 2 maps later.
We had a lot of the cooler David moments.
I loved how many layered thumbnails there were for just, oh, it's cooler, it's cooler, it's cooler.
Why does this keep happening? Does Har make it into pretty funny on the grounds of having a brave bow still, or is that boring? Because he was like disappointing as a unit.
All I remember of Har is us constantly saying like, "Oh, of course he doesn't double this guy. Oh, of course he doesn't do this."
The Har experience, missing every threshold, and then people gas him up because they remember Radiant Dawn.
So that's all I remember about Har from this playthrough. Is just he was always disappointing us.
I remember he replaced Shannon, so another flyer at a time we're not supposed to have flyers, and then he had the Brave Bow when he was an enemy. So he was like the least threatening enemy ever.
Oh, I do remember this now.
Which, like, I think that's pretty funny.
That is pretty funny, and because it's funny to laugh at Har's shortcomings and failures.
I can't remember Ranulf. Can you remember Ranulf?
I don't even remember who Ranulf took the place of. I
think he was actually the dragon we didn't recruit. Because Ulki was the dragon. Ulki was Enna. So yeah, Ranulf is the literally unrecruitable dragon because you can't win the Black Knight fight statistically.
Ranulf.
That's kind of funny. Tyronio was. I can't remember anything about Tyronio either. Just like Armor Knight.
I don't remember. He was just like, oh, what if we had Gatry again? Okay.
But I think Khalil probably qualifies for peak comedy simply because, like, showing up one chapter after Bastion and being like, no, that's actually my spirit does get fucked.
Yeah, what if I had 3 times your stats?
And better growths.
So, Khalil was pretty funny. And she used the Ileana Sprite, and that's good.
Oh, she did use the Ileana Sprite. When she promoted, she became herself again, right? She transitioned.
I think so.
There's 2 genders in this world, Ileana and Khalil. So, obligatory I hate you to Ulki, not only because he crashed the game on the final map and is the reason we didn't finish the playthrough, but also, like, there's a reason I made a forge called Fuck Ulki. That was the most miserable fight of my life.
I can't believe you're tiering units based off of their performance as a red unit. That sounds really unfair.
Hey, people do that in Radiant Dawn. There's really people funny in Radiant Dawn who legitimately penalize Zehark because, well, he shows up as a red unit and it's hard to kill him. I've seen some people put Ike from Radiant Dawn in C tier because he's a hard boss. And I'm just like, I mean, like, if that's how you want to factor it in, that's fine, whatever. It just seems very silly to me.
Just like Ulki being very silly.
He's very silly. All those fucking skills. He exceeded the Laguz patch. Like, he was kind of funny, but I hate him. Do you remember Janoff?
I don't remember Janoff.
Okay. Well, he goes and don't remember then, and we fix my formatting. Wow. Do you want to talk about Mr. Racin?
Oh boy, I sure wish there was a genealogy dancer, but they always flew, always had a bunch of movement, and always danced 4 people in Path of Radiance.
I think he gets to go in peak comedy because I find it incredibly funny that, like, that wasn't the first, like, wow, why is this buff? Like, Path of Radiance is not a hard game moment, but it was certainly the biggest one of like Raisin needed a buff.
Yeah, we needed Raisin to be better, of course.
Of course, a horse. How do you feel about Tanith? I got at least one comment from somebody like legitimately upset that I removed Reinforce, but I think most people didn't mind.
I was gonna ask how funny it was to remove Reinforce, or how funny it was to have Reinforce on a unit where it wasn't programmed to work until she's supposed to join anyways.
I think it was pretty funny that someone legitimately got upset about that. Like, I find it to be a very, like, YouTube commenter moment of, like, okay, calm down, buddy.
We also gave her celerity and boots, so she had 300 movement.
That's true. And that is pretty funny.
That is pretty funny.
Is that peak comedy level, or is that pretty funny?
Is it too good to be peak comedy? Because at what point does just being really good stop being funny? Because she was still just really good unit.
That's true.
It's funny for a Sage to be really good in Path of Radiance, because Sages are bad. It's like, oh, the Falcon Knight with 13 move was really good. Okay, what else?
I mean, it is kind of funny to combine boots and celerity on a high move unit, because, like, you're not supposed to do that, but yeah, I think pretty funny is about where I'd have it. I can't remember anything about Devdon. He was Nephany, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't think I ever deployed him because, like, blackface. So, you know. I guess obligatory, like, I hate you because it's racist. Like the character depiction. But we can move on to someone actually funny. This was the Brave Sword, right? This was the first, like, what the fuck?
And Astra unpromoted.
Oh, and Astra! Okay, no, the Astra unpromoted, because the animations were broken, that on its own is peak comedy, am I right?
He just swings, he just does his basic attack 5 times in a row.
With, like, awkward pauses in between each, like, no, I'm not done yet.
It looks like what would have happened if I procced Astra in real life.
It looked like how Game Boy Advance has Astra happen. If you've ever, like, seen the skill system, how it incorporates Astra, especially on a class like Cavalier where they have to run over, or Sage with, like, a Siege Tome and the camera pans a bunch of times, it's very, like, awkward and stiff, and I can't really blame, like, Game Boy Advance was not programmed with those in mind, but it's very funny to watch, like, horse run forward, horse run back, horse run forward, horse run back. It wasn't that bad because Stefan did not run back, but it was still just, like, awkward pauses in between, in a way that is funny.
It was very funny. Comedy, even.
Peak comedy, even. Muarum was... Muarum gets the same treatment as the dragons, because he ran on top of trees, right?
I do remember that. I do remember him running on top of trees.
And then he became Screamier for some reason in the final map, or the second to last map.
Oh, you're right. In the towers map, he just
randomly was Screamier. Well, I don't think he was named Screamier, but he was like a lion instead of a tiger.
For some reason.
Because again, like, the creator of this hack thinks that Path of Radiance is the hardest game ever, and everyone needs a buff for it to be manageable. So, like, I don't know, little silly, but very funny.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything about Torgod. Do you remember anything about Torgod?
I don't really remember. I don't even remember who he was.
Oh, wait, no! I remember! Yeah, he was Marcia, so he got stuck in the trees. That's pretty funny.
Oh, yeah, you had to fly Alency over to go talk to him.
Actually, I think that's enough to be peak comedy.
That is pretty funny. Small boy gets stuck in the trees.
These tiers are not ordered, by the way. I feel I should say.
Tiers.
How about Makalov?
Makalov was
Rolf, and he was like, we gave him a bunch of bonus experience to recruit Har, right?
Yeah, and then we kept trying to give him kills, and it kept not working.
Yeah. I think, like, he spawned as, like, the weakest unit ever. Like, his base stats were genuinely embarrassing. His base stats were what people say vanilla Makalov is. Like, he got nerfed hardcore. And then with bonus experience, he just became what Vanilla Maklov actually is, a generic but unexciting cavalier. Is that boring?
Yeah.
Is that enough to qualify for boring, or is like the tiny bases funny?
So wasn't Makalov also like alongside an experiment of how boring bonus experience is, because we took this level 1 guy and promoted him without him ever seeing combat?
Yeah.
That sounds kind of boring.
Yeah, he is kind of a demonstration of why I don't like bonus experience as a mechanic. So I think for that reason, he probably ends up in boring. I'm sorry, King, you deserve better. He did not deserve better. Astrid, I cannot remember anything about. Oh, she was Kieran, right?
I think
she's also boring.
Yeah, she just...
Like, I'm sorry, Paladins and Path of Radiance are just, like, the most uninteresting thing ever.
Wow, big move, can move again, and you throw hand axes?
The
Feeling
boring
wild
tier,
today, aren't we?
The boring tier is entirely the Paladins so far, actually.
Whatever
and her Paladins.
Just take S tier and Path of Radiance tiering and just shove that into boring.
That's the boring tier. It's not even just S, though. Like, Bakalov is not an S tier unit.
Nah.
Astrid's not an S tier unit, but, like, they're just boring. Jill was also... Jill, okay, no, we're not beating the mounted unit boring allegations.
I don't even remember anything funny about Jill. She just...
So,
good unit.
Jill was the reason that, like, the prison map was a little bit more awkward, because we couldn't just, like, skip all the prisoners, because she was one of them and she's actually good. She and Astrid were prisoners, I believe.
That sounds about right.
Who fucking cares? Like, oh, you've got a access and a flying mount? Oh boy.
Wow.
She doesn't even get to be different from Tanith because she starts with lances. It's axes on promotion. Like, oh, okay.
So cool.
Soth was just like Volk, but worse.
Yeah. It's just... I mean, isn't that what Soth just is in normal play, though?
Well, but, like, he was better than Volk this time, because he's, like, the thief who was a higher level.
We did get to see Soth promote.
Yeah, he got lethality. Who cares? He never used it. It's funny, because, like, lethality is such a funny and hype skill in all other games, but in Path of Radiance specifically, it's just, like, who cares? Like, even in Sacred Stones, where you have other incredibly strong units, the fact that lethality can go on some of your actual combat units, like Marissa, like Joshua, you know, means that if you want to get silly with it, before anyone comments, this is not me saying it's optimal to go Assassin Joshua, but, like, if you want to get silly with it, you can actually do that, as opposed to, like, Combat Calm is never going to be exciting enough to do lethality stuff, at least in my opinion. And then, like, on the 3DS games, like, Assassin's actually a really good class in Awakening, because bows and swords, and then, obviously, I don't need to tell anyone Master Ninja's good, so, like, if you just want to throw lethality on someone for funny screenshot of the blood splatter moment, but with Volk, it's just, like, I don't know, it just doesn't, I don't care about it.
It's not silly funny.
It's not silly funny. Zehark was also not silly funny, because I don't remember him.
I don't remember anything funny with him.
He was a sword guy.
Yeah, he wasn't Stefan, and that's all that matters.
Did he replace himself? Was he the middle child? Because I know Braum was Jill.
I think he was. I think he was, like, right in the middle.
Damn. That sucks. Braum was peak comedy, because he teleported off the map.
Rewarp to the mountaintop.
He shows up in the water with a Brave Lance, and then Alincia flies over so he can recruit himself, because Jill recruits herself. You can't talk to her. So I had to have Alincia fly over to recruit herself, to have Braum recruit himself, and then he did, and teleported off the map. I was terrified that he'd, like, corrupted the save file.
We were always too afraid to field him, even though he was really funny, because it's like, what if he rewarps again? What if he just decides to shed the mortal coil and just whoosh somewhere else?
Well, and I remember like when he first rewarped, we used like the next unit buttons, like the R and L and X and Y or whatever they are in this game, to try to find him, and it like did not like me doing that. The game was like, "What are you doing?"
If you tried to click him in the unit menu, it would like jerk your cursor way off screen and then pull it back onto the map as soon as possible.
Yeah, it was so fucking funny. Like, okay, this is not ordered, but I think Braum is the funniest, so I am gonna order like Braum specifically. Is like the funniest of these fucking idiots.
Of all people for it to happen to, I feel like Braum is the perfect person. If this happened to like Kieran, okay, like I don't feel like it'd be as funny, but it's Braum.
Well, Braum is like a meme on my channel too. Like I insert him into a bunch of videos to just be like, "Oh, it's Braumin time," or like, "Don't forget about Braum." On my second channel, which this is getting posted on, I had January is the month where we post Braum every Tuesday. Like, just I don't know why, like, but I decided, hey, Braum's gonna be a meme on my channel, because you gotta have an armor knight who's a meme. And the game was like, okay, Braum's gonna be a meme. I'll raise you 1 rewarp.
Braum also has a friend named Jacob, so he's cool.
I forgot about that. Yeah, just like Jacob from Fire Emblem Fates, your favorite unit.
Woo.
Do you remember anything about Nephany?
Nephany was about as impactful in this run as she is in most of my runs. I hardly remember I recruited her.
Was she dev'd on? I think she was dev'd on. Was it like Halberdier for Halberdier, or... cause like the Grail Mercs leaving and coming back always throws off recruitment order for me. Braum was Jill.
No, she was
she was
Gatry, right?
Yeah, she would have been Gatry, I guess. Would she have been? No, she wouldn't have been Gatry. She was Astrid. She was Astrid.
Wasn't Kieran level 1?
Oh no, Kieran was Astrid because he had the practice axe, and that was pretty funny. So what the fuck were you? Oh, maybe she was Zehark. Yeah, I think she was Zehark.
Possibly, yeah.
Who cares? Who cares? Like, the fact that I can't remember them is just the ultimate who cares moment.
Yeah.
Also, you can, like, you're literally just swap places, like, boring.
Yeah. They're just...
Yeah. We never got to see what Leth was, so I guess we put her in I can't remember. But I remember Muaram... Because Moram was Ulki, or was Naysala, right?
I think so.
And he had, like, incredibly cracked skills. So that's pretty funny.
I do feel like I remember this.
That's pretty funny. I wanted to see what Leth was, but, like, we'll never find out now.
Oh, no.
Because the journey ended. Marsha was kind of funny, but kind of boring. She was just an est. Because she replaced Tormod. So yeah, she was just literally est from Shadow Dragon.
Fair and everything.
Is Celerity on Rolf funny enough for peak comedy, or is that just pretty funny?
It was pretty funny. I don't know if it was peak comedy, because I don't think we used him, but it was funny at the very least.
It was pretty funny. It wasn't enough to convince me to use a Path of Radiance Archer. I'm sorry, Rolf, I love you, but... You suck.
This is so sad.
Mist was also pretty funny. Joining with, like, S swords and the Vague Kadi and the Sonic Sword, right? Or something ridiculous.
I do remember her joining with Vague Kadi and S swords. I do remember this.
So, like, I guess she and
funny.
Rolf can be next to each other as, like, the pretty funnies.
Yeah.
Just adjusting my layout. We're doing this all in one take. Like, this is a low effort video, so like, cause I'm sick.
That is totally fair.
So we're doing this all in one take. We're not cutting for anything. You get a peek behind the curtain. Ileana. Oh, right. Okay, so actually, Ileana and Soren were pretty funny because this was like Ileana gets all the buffs and then Soren gets like a little buffs but not enough buffs.
Oh, right. She was, she joined with the Rexfire?
Yeah, she joined with Rexfire and also Stabs, which, like, led to me talking about how I think that actually Sage's not having stabs is good game design, and people complain about it without, like, recognizing why it's good design. I don't know, I went on a rant about it in that video, so I'm not going to repeat it here. But, like, obviously, Sage's having knives is meant to nerf them as compared to the trained projects. It's meant to be a downside. It's not accidental bad design. It's so that you feel like you have a reward for training them. Do you even remember anything about Mia? Because I don't.
I don't. That's weird, because you think I'd remember something about Mia. She's awesome, but...
We talked about her armpits a little bit. I got a comment from someone saying that I'm a pedophile for that. So that's fun. I don't remember anything else, though.
Mia herself. I feel it. I don't even remember who she replaced.
Well, so Godfrey was Tironio, so Mia would have been Khalil? No. Oh, Tanith, right. Oh, she was like in a deployment slot that didn't exist, I think.
Oh, I think so. So she just never got deployed.
Well, no, she got deployed. She was just like in a slot that didn't exist. It was weird. I don't remember all the specifics, but it was like... It was kind of like how Jeff TMZC like happens or something, but different. I think Godfrey was pretty funny. In fact, no, I think like Godfrey's edging on peak comedy. I don't think he was peak comedy because a lot of that was forced comedy, but Godfrey was pretty funny. He used the Wishblade to kill Ulki because he joined with the fucking Wishblade, and then there was just the constant like general animations being very slow. I had him kill Shinon, which was very funny.
I do remember he killed Shinon.
He killed Shinon, and then he just sort of like stood there and tanked a bajillion hits, and that was very funny. And we warped him around a bunch, which was also very funny because we had the warp staff and we had so many uses of warp because like what else are we hammerning? So we just like skipped every map. Oh, I thought I muted my mic, but I didn't hit the button on time. So now you got live Danny ASMR sneeze.
Oopsies.
Oopsies. Can we just like throw the remaining paladins in boring? Like, can we just do that?
I'm noticing something really important about the boring tier.
It's all paladins.
Mounted units.
It's like every mounted unit except for Tanith, and Tanith just barely edges out of there because she had reinforce. But yeah, they're boring. They were boring. I'm sorry, but Path of Radiance mounted units moment. They didn't even get the bright bow, which was pretty funny.
Him joining with Bright Bow was very silly.
Did we give him Colossus, or did he start with Colossus? I don't remember.
I don't remember us giving him Colossus.
I think he had Colossus, so he must have started with it.
Most likely.
And then, do we put Ike in I Hate You? Because, like, he was even worse than normal. Like, he showed up on the Alincia map, and he was like, hey, you know how people cope Alincia because she's a flying staffer even though she has shit stats? What if I had those stats, and no flight and no staff access?
Yeah, he joined on, I don't know if it was like 15-1 averages or 21 averages, I checked, but he just didn't do anything. And then he didn't exist for a map, so we just didn't do anything with him. We just pretended he didn't exist. I'm
an Ike hater in vanilla, like in terms of him as a unit. I don't hate him as a character, but like I hate him as a unit. And this Ike was so much worse than the average Ike. Like, I know you said 15-1 averages, but important to remember, like, that's in Clash. Like, he doesn't have those stats in Clash usually.
Yeah, no. He was still awful.
I would warrant that our reverse or our 0% growths Ike contributed more than this fucking fraudster.
Very true.
Does this look right to you?
We put pretty much all the mounted units in boring, so yeah.
Yeah, I think so as well. Well, thank you for joining me. Everyone subscribe to Casual Jacob. And comment on this video who your favorite funny man was. It better be Braum.
Always the funniest.